Print servers in federal environments create risk and unnecessary complexity. Every new printer, location, or policy adds strain to infrastructure that was never built for today's demands. FedRAMP High Authorized Printer Logic eliminates print servers with a secure cloud-native, zero-trust solution designed for federal IT. With advanced security, centralized control, and simplified management, agencies can modernize print without added burden. See what secure serverless printing looks like. Visit Vasion.com to learn more.
Federal Drive is presented by GEHA, Government Employees Health Association, proudly providing health and dental benefits to federal employees and their families. Visit GEHA.com.
Federal agencies work hard to secure their online presence, but some website compromises are being uncovered through an unlikely source. Federal News Network's Eric White spoke with Greg Pollock, Director of Research and Insights at UpGuard, about what those discoveries reveal about the challenge of keeping track of sprawling government web infrastructure.
So, with an emphasis on NSFW, this is a vulnerability pertaining to .edu and .gov domains that you seem to have discovered that there's a little bit of, it was something that wasn't necessarily they had on their radar, but it seems as if OnlyFans takedowns are helping .gov and .edu domains protect themselves a little more. Why don't we just start from the beginning on what exactly you were looking for and how you found out about this?
Sure. I was, conducting a kind of routine investigation of a website that had other indicators of compromise. And as part of that process, I go to Google, I just search across that site to see what's going on with this thing. At the bottom of that page, at the bottom of the search results, I see a little notice that I had never seen before, which said some results have been omitted because of DMCA notices, against the content. So I click through, and there I see a DMCA takedown notice from clearly an adult content creator sent to mostly adult content piracy sites, but also this government domain that I was looking at. And I thought, well, that's pretty weird. What's going on there? And so pulling on that thread led me to discover how this is happening across lots of domains and how those DMCA copyright notices can be a pretty effective way to look for domains that are somehow advertising search results they don't mean to.
And when you say they are advertising, so when they compromise, they are essentially piggybacking on government website that would pop up in a normal search for a government website or for a government resource or university resource. But all of a sudden going down the search results, you see a title that you weren't searching for, let's say.
Yeah, exactly. This is sometimes called parasite SEO. And it's a way for attackers to get traffic to their sites by finding websites that have some kind of vulnerability that allows them to start getting, the names of their sites or even, links to their sites, into search results. And they especially target these higher ed and government sites because those are trusted sites that Google says, hey, this is a really trusted site. I want to put this high up in the search ranks. And so that's one of the many factors that's combining here to make this an especially juicy target for these attackers.
Gotcha. All right. And so, what does it say that OnlyFans has now become a kind of early indicator for a vulnerability that would be on a site that Google has up there because it is so highly trusted? And are the powers that be who run those websites and control those websites, are they actually utilizing it? Did you hear anything on that front?
Oh, are they utilizing this detection method?
Are they, saying, hey, this is obviously showing a problem here that we have to address?
I don't think anyone is approaching it this way. And actually, part of that is because as I was doing this research, I found that this intersection of the copyright notices and the government sites is really fairly new. I mean, this is really taken off in the last 5 years, that you can use these data sets in this way. That said, this kind of problem of attackers compromising those sites to piggyback and have parasite SEO, that's been going on for a long time. I think what we can do with this is really shorten the window of detection because eventually someone's going to see it and tell them, right? Like it really stands out like a sore thumb when you see that. So eventually someone does see it who will report it, but it usually takes quite a long time. And you can find some that have been up for ages, but you also find organizations that are better at detecting it. This might be a faster way to do that.
Gotcha. All right. And so if the copyrights, detection by copyright enforcement ecosystem, is that an overall better way that might be available to finding these vulnerabilities rather than something that is just waiting in the dark that you never hear of, and until you see compromised information on the dark web or whatever have you?
Well, I mean, really, what the attackers are taking advantage of here are just the organizational complexity of governments and universities that operate really large digital infrastructure over really long periods of time. And that organizational complexity leads to unmaintained websites, which creates this kind of low-hanging fruit. And so the best option is just for these teams, which are always resource constrained and always asked to do more with less, for them to have enough people and the right tools to be able to take care of those sites, proactively. This kind of like after the fact detection method, and like you were saying, dark web detection, that's even further down the chain. You really want to catch it sooner by giving them the tools to understand their own infrastructure ahead of time.
We're speaking with Greg Pollock. He is the Director of Research and Insights at UpGuard. And was there anything that you came across? Obviously, it's kind of surprising when you come across this stuff when you're searching for a government website. But in your research and seeing all of these DMCA takedown requests, was there anything that stuck out to you and kind of challenged what you were originally assuming that hey, this stuff is gonna happen? But was there something else at play here that you didn't think you would see?
I mean, I'll tell you the biggest surprise was just how recent this phenomenon is. That when I had got my data together and then created my charts, it's really in the last 5 years that the chart starts to take off, where you see this intersection of the copyright notices and the government and education websites. If I had done this project 3 years ago, the results would have been really pretty unremarkable, and we wouldn't be talking today. But it's really a convergence of two things. One, the increase in cyber crimes, especially targeting Americans, and the increase in the number of individual copyright owners creating adult content. And so those two things have created this convergence. And it's really a surprise when you stumble into something big that no one has discovered and you think this is actually a new thing that's pretty important.
Yeah, I imagine that they're not doing this to try and amplify any particular content. There is some means to sort of game the system of using that content to get access to other people's information, right? They're not just doing this out of the goodness of their hearts to help their local OnlyFans creator.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, so these cyber criminal organizations are really complex and operate really technically impressive infrastructure themselves. And the top of the funnel, I mean, you can think of it like a business. The top of the funnel is they're trying to get users into their system. And where do you get users to visit your website? Well, through Google search results. So this whole thing is, and what do people search for? What do people want? And also, what do people want to pirate? Well, if there is paid adult content that someone is offering you for free, that becomes a pretty good lure, and also for a certain audience who maybe is less risk averse, let's say, and maybe ultimately like a good target for your financial exploitation scams.
Gotcha. All right. And any other conclusions that you came away with in how this kind of stuff can be stymied out even more, and security teams could adopt any sort of methods to be on the lookout for it, other than seeing a nefarious website pop up whenever they search their team's name?
Yeah, I mean, I think the lesson here is really not that defenders are doing a bad job or that they don't know about this. This is really a cybersecurity fundamental question, and the people tasked with defending these websites are aware that they want to have an inventory of their websites. They want to know what software it's running. It's really the resource constraints on those teams. And so this project, which, as we talked about, it's kind of a funny juxtaposition of like these serious websites and this unusual content. This is really a way to get the interest of everyone else around them to say, hey, these teams are trying to defend your websites. They need more resources to do it, and to shine a light on those cybersecurity fundamentals that, unlike the OnlyFans models, they don't always get the attention they deserve.
Yeah, and it kind of shows, and I know this is kind of outside the parameters of what you were looking at, but I mean, is there any other industry that faces more copyright infringements than the adult entertainment industry? Because, obviously their stuff is being infiltrated all of the time. Is there anything that they might be able to do to kind of put a stop to this thing on the front end and protect themselves?
Yeah, we talked with a successful OnlyFans content creator about, how much of a problem is this? And she said, yeah, if you don't have some kind of brand protection software doing this for you, then you might as well not even try, because piracy is so rife in that industry. There are other industries that face it as well. In looking through the DMCA notices, then I wanted to filter out everything that wasn't adult content, just to kind of tighten the analysis here. And so you see a lot of piracy of sports streams. You see a lot of DMCA notices also related to illegal gambling sites. So those are some of the other forces at work in our digital ecosystem where people want certain kinds of content, adult content, sports streams, etc. Attackers are well aware of the demand for that and are going to use it to try to get eyeballs onto their sites and away from legitimate sites.
Utilizing DMCA notices as a snapshot of what folks are really into.
Yeah, I mean, you maybe know intuitively what are people interested in, but it really puts the rubber meets the road at like what are they willing to pirate.
Greg Pollock is the Director of Research and Insights at UpGuard, speaking there with Federal News Network's Eric White. We'll post this interview at federalnewsnetwork.com/Federal Drive. Subscribe to the Federal Drive wherever you get your podcasts.